It really surprises me about the Karen Reed trial how many adults go around getting drunk. I thought that's something that people stop doing when they're like in their early 20s. All these people at the party, and by the way, I do think she's innocent of the charges and she was framed, but they're all serious alcoholics. They're all getting drunk. People in their 40s going out, getting drunk, plastered to the point that they don't even know how they got home or getting in fights. Very immature, big drinking problem. And it's not just those cops. It happens to a lot of people that as they get older, they just start drinking a lot and getting drunk. So I was shocked by that. The other thing that's odd to me is that I think that John O'Keefe was emotionally avoidant in his relationship with Karen. Um, that brought out her jealousy and her fury because she wanted to deal with things and he didn't. And I think he may have used her as a babysitter for his kids. But I think he was disrespectful to her and maybe was no longer interested in the relationship with her because she was maybe too needy for him. And you know, he was already 46. To my knowledge, he had never been married, so he obviously had issues. I would say that a man over the age of 35 who's never been married has some kind of issues, in that relationship issues. Okay, there's a reason. They're avoidant. So I could see why she was very frustrated, even though he was pretty hot. The third thing that surprises me is that uh, O'Keefe's brother, mother, um, believe that Karen Reed hit him and killed him. In fact, the actual murderers, the Alberts and the McCabe's, sat behind O'Keefe's family during the trial on the final day of closing arguments. The murderers of their son were sitting behind them, and they don't think they were the murderers. They think Karen is the murderer because they hate her so much. If you wanted to know who murdered your son, you would look for the evidence, because we see people all the time hiring private investigators because they don't believe what the police told them. I can think of a few cases right now. Even the Sandra Burcham case in Canton. Her family hired a private investigator, but the O'Keefes didn't. They're just like, we hate her, she did it. And watching that is so interesting because they're so convinced, because they hate her so much, or they're so in love with, you know, the McCabe's and the Alberts are such good people, they can't even consider that these people did it. The same way that some parents can't believe that their child is being sexually abused by their boyfriend or by the father. They just have blinders on, such blinders, and we're seeing it all in plain sight right in front of us. So I thought that was very interesting. And then also what's interesting is that the prosecutor, Lally is his last name, took on that case, brought it as a case to the trial, knowing full well that the FBI was investigating. The Canton Police Department had already concluded that Karen Reed was framed, have over 3,000 pages of reports from their own experts that they hired, the FBI, and gave the defense two of the witnesses, the Reconstruction Action experts, gave the defense those witnesses, paid for those witnesses. Yet Lally proceeded to take the case. And these people, knowing that they're under FBI investigation, all those people who sat behind the McCabe family, the O'Keefe family, knowing they already have been deposed by the FBI, the grand jury, are still lying, thinking they can get away with it, trying to save face. As soon as this verdict is in, hopefully the FBI is going to release some of their own stuff into this corruption by this police department. But, you know, some of the behavior is so interesting, and I think that's why people are so fascinated by the case. Because usually the prosecution that brings a case, they have a good case. They lay out their evidence. This case didn't have any evidence. It was just a bunch of gobbledygook and timelines and stuff that never added up, and lies. And watching these people lie, risking their entire reputation, having killed this officer, John O'Keefe, and still trying to cover it up for years. How stressful that must be. Knowing they're being investigated by the FBI. Knowing that they're being watched all over the world. And then the family of Officer O'Keefe believing the murderers because they hate Karen so much. And the relationship between Karen and John, their pictures look lovey-dovey, but it was not lovey-dovey. She was very disappointed in their relationship. He was avoidant. There were a lot of fights. And all the drinking. How can you have a good relationship when you're out getting drunk all the time? It's very interesting. So hopefully, I think the jury will come back today. That was always my prediction. We'll see if I'm right. But I'm curious more about the human aspects of the case. If you guys have any comments on it. Again, any trolls will be hidden from the channel. Remember, the FBI is looking into the Canton Police Department. The FBI has already found pretty much that she was framed. So if you are, thinking that she's guilty, I'm just going to hide you from the channel. This is a no BS, straight talk channel. But I'm curious what you think, if you've been watching it, about any of the human behavior aspects. All the drinking, the relationship where he was avoidant and she was fawning. The family siding with the murderers because they can't believe that they could actually be murderers because they hate the girlfriend so much. The prosecutor bringing a case that's already being investigated by the FBI. And I think the prosecutor could be investigated by the FBI, but they're like full steam ahead. Very interesting.